السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قال ولو وقعت القسمة ثم ظهر في التركة دين محيط، ردت القسمة لأنه يمنع وقوع الملك للوارث. وكذا إذا كان غير محيط لتعلق حق الغرماء آه، بتركة
بسم الله
بالتركة.
الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على رسول الكريم. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. ربنا ولا تؤاخذنا، ربنا فاغفر لنا ذنوبنا وكفر عنا سيئاتنا وتوفنا مع الأبرار. ربنا وآتنا ما وعدتنا على رسلك ولا تخزنا يوم القيامة إنك لا تخلف الميعاد. اللهم اشرح لنا صدورنا ويسر لنا أمورنا واحلل عقدة من ألسنتنا يفقهوا أقوالنا. اللهم رب يسر ولا تعسر وتمم بالخير وبك نستعين يا فتاح يا عليم. Please we continue with Kisma, and we're busy doing the fasting on istihqaq. Um, busy with the last masala, or more or less, and this is where if somebody is claiming a haq in the Kisma, but or a haq is due from the kisma to somebody who's not one of the partners. He's an outsider or they are outsiders to the partner. So he's saying, قال من the مصنف إمام قدوري رحمة الله ولو يقول وقعت ولو وقعت الكسمة ثم ظهر في التركة دين محيط ردت الكسمة. And if the kisma has taken place, then partners came forward, they asked for kisma to be done, and then it was done. ثم ظهر في التركة دين. Now this kisma was part of an inheritance. Understood? So the kisma distribution of the inheritance, including this particular item which is co-owned by the heirs, was distributed among them. ثم ظهر في التركة دين محيط. Thereafter, in the inheritance, such a debt became apparent, which encompasses the entire estate, meaning that the debt is so much it basically makes the estate insolvent. And saying it's only enough left over from the estate that will pay the debt, nothing more. رُدَّ الْقِسْمَةُ, so then the kisma has to be returned. Whatever was divided, everybody must return their respective shares for the debt to be paid off. Because as we know, when a person dies, the first thing that has to be paid off is the debts. Or rather, the first thing is the kafan and dafan, then the debts, and then the wasiya up to 1/3, and then the inheritance will take place. لأنه يمنع وقوع الملك للوارث. Why? Because the يمنع meaning the dain. The debt prevents ownership from taking place to the heir. They can't become the owners of it because it already belongs to someone else, the creditor. وكذا إذا كان غير محيط. And the same thing will apply, meaning that the estate has to be returned, the shares has to be returned, if the debt is such that it does not encompass the full estate. And so the estate amounted to, let's say, for example, 1,000,000, and the debt is 800,000, 500,000, for example. Even then they have to return it, right? Because obviously that 500,000 has to has to be paid from whatever was given to them. And then whatever is left over, so their inheritance was not 1,000,000, the inheritance is whatever is left over after paying the debt. لتعلق حق الغرماء بتركة. Why? Because the right of the creditors is connected to the inheritance. إلا إذا بقي من التركة ما بقي من الدين وراء ما قسم. Unless unless whatever remains of the estate, understand, is what can be paid, or what the debt can be paid off with beyond what was divided. So whatever was distributed, whatever is left there is sufficient to pay off the debt. Then that's fine. Or what you call, okay, that's coming after. لأنه لا حاجة إلى النقد القسمة, because in this case obviously there will be no need to break the division or distribution. There will no need to cancel or void the distribution, because there is enough. في إيفاء حكيم, in paying off the rights, the creditors' rights. ولو أبرأ الغرماء بعد القسمة أو أداه الورثة من مالهم والدين محيط أو غير محيط جازت القسمة. On the other hand, if the ghurama, the creditors, waiver the debt, they say, never mind, we make your late father, for example, we make him off, we cancel the debt. بعد القسمة, after the distribution. أو أداه الورثة, or the heirs themselves paid off من مالهم, from their own wealth, not from their estate, from their own wealth. They say, okay, we'll pay off the debt. والدين محيط أو غير محيط, irrespective of whether the debt is all-encompassing or not, irrespective of whether the debt encompasses the entire estate or not. جازت القسمة, in both instances, the distribution will remain valid. Why? Because again, the only thing which prevented us from doing the distribution, or rather nullify the distribution, was the fact that that didn't belong to them, it belonged to somebody else. So that was the preventative cause of the distribution. So once that cause has been removed, the thing which is blocking and stopping the distribution from taking place, then there's no need to avoid the kisma. There's no need to avoid the distribution. لأن المانع قد زال, because the thing which is preventing the distribution has been removed. Understood?
Okay.
ولو ادعى أحد المتقاسمين أو أحد المتقاسمين دينا في التركة صح دعواه. And if one of the people who received the share, one of the co-owners, if they claiming a debt in the tarika, in the inheritance, his claim will be valid. His or her claim will be valid. لأنه لا تناقض إذ الدين يتعلق بالمعنى والقسمة تصادف الصورة. Why? Because the debt is connected to the ma'na, I mean it's connected to cash. And cash is not, as we did before, thaman is not an ayn. Understand? It's not a physical subject as such, object as such. It's something which you owe. That is why if you go to the shop and you say, give me this chocolate for this 5 rand, and you show the person the 5 rand. If they give you the chocolate, the shopkeeper, you can put that 5 rand in your pocket and take out another 5 rand. Or you can take out two rands and a rand and pay him. You can't refuse that. Why? Because cash is not something which becomes fixed, that you have to give that specific thing. Unlike a product which is an ayn. Right? For example, if you go to the shop and say, I want this chocolate, and the person gives you some other chocolate, you can refuse and say, no, I want that one that I pointed to, not the one you're giving me, even though it's exactly the same. But by you pointing out to the product, specifying it, it becomes specified. And now the deal that takes place is on that specific one, nothing else. You can't swap it out or give you a substitute and so forth. Unlike money. So money, as what he's saying here, that إذ الدين يتعلق بالمعنى, the dain is connected to the debt. Is connected to something which is not specified. It's an obligation in a person's responsibility to pay. Understand? It's an obligation in a person's responsibility. That's what the debt is, an obligation on a person to pay. Well, kisma to tusadifu surah, whereas the kisma distribution, it is connected to actual things, physical items. specific items. You understand? So there's no la tanaqud, there's no contradiction between what this Mutaqasim is saying, that the deceased owes him money. Because what he has received is a physical item. Understood? And what he is claiming money from the estate. Follow?
Okay.
You understand?
It has nothing to do with the qisma.
Maaf?
It has nothing to do with the qisma. That's why it's
It's got
different.
nothing to do with the kisma. It's got to do with him demanding that the deceased pay up what is due to him. You follow? So you
Okay.
can't say, oh no, this guy is taking a chance here to try and get more out of the estate than what he was entitled to receive. You follow?
Okay.
ولو ادعى عينا بأي سبب كان لم يسمع لتناقض. Yes, if he was to claim that something specific belongs to him, that piece of jewelry is actually mine, that car that he has is actually mine, you know that? He's claiming that belongs to him, that the deceased didn't pay him for it yet or whatever. Whatever, بأي سبب, for whatever, on whatever sabab, the deceased extorted it from me or he borrowed it from me, whatever the case is. You understand? He's pointing to one specific item in the inheritance. Then lam yusma. Then we won't listen to what he's saying, litanaqud, because now here there is an apparent contradiction. Because now he's trying to claim something more from the estate to come into his allotted share. Okay?
Okay.
إذ الإقدام على القسمة اعتراف بكون المقسوم مشتركا. Why? Because when he approached the distribution, when he agreed to the distribution, this in itself is an admittance from an i'tiraf that whatever was divided is shared amongst all of them, is co-owned amongst all of them. So now for him to claim extra by claiming the deceased owes it to him or extorted from him or whatever reason, he is now making a claim for which there is no basis unless he can produce evidence. And here we can say this guy is trying to claim more than what he is entitled to.
Okay. But if he claims it before the qisma, then it's fine.
If he
Because he
claims
has.
before the kisma, yes. If he claims before the kisma, like I said, if he has evidence, even better.
Sure.
Okay. Can we go back to that ibara which we didn't understand the other day? That Imam Shabs, I shall have made some more tahqiq on that. So I think I've understood it now. You have that page?
I'm just going back to it.
Yes, it is. Right? Okay. So we said that if a person in the matan they mentioned three things, right? Either it's only a top story, only a bottom story, or both. Then they made the ikhtilaf that Imam Sab says it will be divided according to the measurements of the place and not according to the value, as Imam Muhammad was saying. Okay, so then Imam Sab further said, Imam Ahmad further said that the lower story has greater value than the upper story. Otherwise, it has twice the value than the upper story. Remember that?
Okay.
Right, so now when he's giving the explanation of what that means, he's talking about the entire house, upstairs and downstairs. Okay, it's upstairs and downstairs. So where is it? وتفسير قول أبي حنيفة رحمة الله في مسألة الكتاب. So what will happen is now, so you got an entire house or entire flat upstairs and downstairs, right? Imam Saf said that the bottom story is of greater value, twice the value of the upper story. Understood? So whatever you
Yeah.
measure, whatever is measured for the bottom must be twice on top. Now, let's say, for example, the person owns 1/3 of the building. That means he owns 1/3 of the bottom story and 1/3 of the upper story. 33.3 at the bottom and 33.3 at the top. Okay?
Yeah.
What's me so far? Right. Now what he wants the whole upper story only. He doesn't want the split between the lower and the upper story. He wants the whole upper story. So he's already got 1/3 on top, but he's willing to swap out his 1/3 at 33.3% at the bottom for the upper story. Okay, for a share on the upper story. Okay. So now if it's the lower story is double that of the upper story, so 1/3 of 33.3% will be how much on top?
Would be double.
Double, which is how much?
Would be 66.6.
66.6, 2/3, right? Are you following?
Sure.
Gee, so he's got, remember, he owns 1/3 of the building, so 1/3 on top, 1/3 at the bottom. Okay?
Yeah.
Then 1/3 at the bottom is 33.3% or 1/3, right? He wants the entire top. Now he's already got 1/3 on top. He wants the entire top. In exchange for the 1/3 at the bottom that he owns, the 33.3% at the bottom, he's exchanging that for the entire top. Okay? So
Yeah.
because the bottom story, the 33.3 on the top is double the value of the upper story. So therefore he's entitled to take 66.6 on the upper story. You want follow? Following?
Yeah. That's according
So he's
to
got 1/3, 33.3, Maf?
So that's according to Tarfain.
No, according to Imam Hanifa.
Imam Abu Hanifa.
We tafsir qawli Abu Hanifa because yeah.
Yeah.
So Imam Hanifa is so that's 66 now, which is going to get in exchange for his 33 at the bottom, added to the 1/3 on top, which he has 66.6 times or plus 33.3, and he's left with 100%. You follow?
Yeah.
So in that way, the entire upper level will belong to him in exchange for the 1/3 at the bottom. Did you follow that?
Yeah.
So I think وتفسير قول أبي حنيفة في مسألة الكتاب أن يجعل بمقامة 100 ذراع من العلو المجرد 33 وثلث ذراع من البيت الكامل, that you will place 100 ذراع of the upper level only, meaning where he wants only the upper level, then in lieu of 33 and a third ذراع of a complete house. Understand?
Yeah.
And so that means he owns 1/3 of the entire house, and he wants to now swap the 1/3 which he has at the bottom for the entire upper level only. العلو المجرد. لأن why will he get 100 ذراع؟ لأن العلو مثل نصف السفلي, because the top is half in value than the bottom. فثلاث وثلاثون وثلث من السفلي or سفلي, so 33.3 or 1/3 of the bottom is equal to 66 وثلثاء من العلو, equal to 66.6% of the upper of the top, meaning 2/3. Okay? ومعه 33 وثلث ذراع من العلو. So that's 66.6 plus his 1/3 which he already owns, and then on top, فبالت 100 ذراع will be equal to 100 ذراع. See?
Yeah.
You follow that?
Sure.
And then with the bottom, it will just be the opposite of what we said now. You understand that?
Sure. You understood, man.
Okay. Any questions there?
And Alhamdulillah,
Or
understood,
what we
man.
did today also?
Alhamdulillah, from my side, it's all good.
Are there any other questions?
What did I see here?
Okay, now we're coming to the last fasal. They call it fasal, but it's actually like a separate kitab, not kitab, a separate bab actually, because that chapter is done, right? So this is on muhayyat. I'll just explain it quickly and then we'll stop here, right? Muhayyat is from the word hayya, right? We'll discuss all that law and stuff tomorrow. So this is mostly, not always, but mostly. Remember, we say there are certain things you can't distribute. For example, like a mill or a well. There's no way to distribute that. It's not viable to make kisma of that. Understood? So in
Yeah.
such things, mostly, what you can do is you can make division of the benefit that is derived from the manafi that comes from it. For example, so you can say that one day I will use the well, and one day you use the well. So we do it on turn by turn. So one day you use it, one day I use it. You understood that? Or you own a block of flats, like what happens to a timeshare. X amount of time for the year, or this time of the year you can use it for your holidays, and this time of the year I will use it for my holidays. You follow?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that is more yards. In simple terms, tomorrow we'll go into the detail, inshallah.
Sure.
Okay. Okay, inshallah, we'll stop there today. Inshallah, subhanallah, bihamdi, subhanakallah, wa bihamdika, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam wa a'lam wa ilmuhu ahkam wa atam. Assalamu alaikum wa